Looking pretty scary for Ehome now, because we saw earlier today how dangerous it can be when Storm, he has to initiate. In this lineup, unless you get an early Blink Dagger on your Winter Wyvern or something, you have to go first as Storm to make the enemy take the fight, and then you have no mana and Mage punishes you.
CTY does tend to build Linken's though, and there is a lot of counterplay, so I think it's okay. I think they were really hesitant about it because they knew the AM was still in the pool.
That is a very good point.
They took a long time to pick it.
I mean, right now, what do they actually go for as their...
One of the... They had Night Stalker versus Anti-Mage yesterday.
I mean, it's a carry this time around, so it might be different. Like, Luna is the one that we saw the teams earlier did against Anti-Mage. You push and you just take the towers down.
I think Night Stalker is amazing here. Look at the silence and how much you can do against Evil Genius's lineup. You can silence Dazzle, ES, or even Lina. Sure, if she has a Yule Scepter, she can get rid of it. But it looks like a great pick, and it's similar to what they played earlier. They had Darkseer and Night Stalker and just ran at people. Sure, that was with TA, but Storm can execute very similarly.
A hero we haven't seen at all at TI is Draw Ranger. I think it could also be an option sometime, you know, in pushing lineups. And I know I say that because I know Ehome they run Draw a lot, and in their scrims before TI, they were doing a lot of Draw strats, and we haven't seen it yet.
It's deemed very risky by teams now, just because her late game is not good, especially for some teammates. But first 25, it's really good. I think Ehome could also want to pick up Silencer if they really wanted to. Again, Silencer's been like a hot commodity, and we talked about it being good versus Ehome, but if they took it for themselves, there's like no way they can stop a Storm Zip or a combo by Darkseer.
It works really well with any initiation like Clockwork or Storm to jump in and then just silence the enemy team so they can't react to it. And that could be a good combination for Ehome. Either way, they just need something else that can help the Storm initiation, whether it's a Night Stalker charging in or a silence. They actually gonna go into Luna. So more hard carry and more Lunas in this. Today has been the day of Luna.
Yeah, and their lanes are really strong, so it also opens up possibilities whether they can challenge the anti-mage's farm.
That's a very interesting last pick. So it's gonna be a Universe Shaker, I assume, and PP and IUI on the lean.
He also plays Lina offlane sometimes too.
Okay.
Yeah. That would put Sumail mid Shaker though. That would be exciting. Or actually, he's playing the Queen mid, yeah. Yeah, exciting draft.
Universe is going to be on the Shaker.
Very exciting draft indeed. Thank you very much, gentlemen. We'll get your views after our first game is done and dusted. But let's head down to the arena now with the commentary team.
That's right, all events. The crowd has been good about keeping the cheers for all of the teams, but there's no taking away the home field advantage for Evil Geniuses. As you can see, the fans behind me are lining up for their favorites, EG.
I mean, with Complexity gone, they're the last Western hope. This feels like the team that everybody from NA is rooting for now. It's hard to top that, but I mean, there are plenty of Ehome teams here too. Ehome fans here too, is ROTK has garnered a lot of support for himself after his story.
Absolutely. Of course, I'm Capitalist. I'm joined by Blitz, who somehow continues to be a relevant co-caster in the scene due to the constant Storm Spirit picks. Congratulations, buddy. Couldn't be happier for you.
And Cap can actually just bust out the notepad, watch Universe play not 5K MMR Earthshaker games.
6K, excuse me.
Okay, my bad, dude.
All right, Evil Geniuses versus Ehome. This is sure to be one of the most exciting matches of the whole entire tournament. I feel like Ehome, they took it to Secret so dominantly, and what I really felt like Ehome do best is that when they are determining the tempo of the game, when they're in control, they make very few mistakes. However, I do feel that Ehome do make some rather simple mistakes when they're pressured, and I think that's the one thing that Evil Geniuses, you can say a lot about them. Even just the mid-lane matchup, right? Sumail versus CTY, this is easily two of the best mid laners in this whole entire tournament facing up against each other, and both of them are known to be aggressive fighters who want to be able to win their lane, and a skill-based matchup.
I almost feel as though that'll hurt CTY in this matchup. The Storm Spirit against the Queen of Pain is heavily favored for the Queen of Pain because there's almost no way that the Storm kills the Queen of Pain, but the constant Shadow Strike harass, the fact that when you're level 6, you'll almost always hit level 6 before the Storm Spirit does, and when that happens, you should be able to just burst them down. And I think that CTY is actually one of those players that tries to get too much out of the lane sometimes, and so for me, mid matchup is where I'm at, and I think this is going to determine a lot of it. If CTY gets soloed and lets Sumail snowball a little bit too hard, I feel like EG can just roll to a win.
All right, PPD already starting things off with a little bit of body blocking. Both supports doing the same thing here. Universe as our off. going for the early Fisher blocks as per the normal for offlane Earthshaker. He's facing up against YJ's Luna and Lanam's Rubik. Mid lane, we're already going to have a bit of harassment. Pretty standard from Winter Wyverns, always trying to go for that Wintern Bird and just harassing out the mid laner, trying to force those early shared tangos.
Yeah, and this is a matchup that CTY needs all the help in the world in, as we mentioned earlier, and just being able to get Sumail a little bit low, force him to use one of his shared tangos inefficiently is going to help him a lot, but it's still going to be a rough matchup, especially when he has to rotate out, but he's actually just going to stack for CTY, and it seems like this mid matchup, CTY is going to get a lot of help in.
It's probably for the best, right? As you were saying, it's a very dangerous matchup for a Storm Spirit. You want to play maybe perhaps a little bit more passive, which CTY is not really known for being. So that help from DDC may be essential. Now he's going to rotate back up to the top lane to help out with the pulling. Meanwhile, bottom lane, we've got RTK playing his signature Darkseer. Now, this is a lane that he's going to have some potential harassment coming out from the Animage, but for the most part, he's going to be putting a lot of pressure on that carry to try and get as much CS up against the double Ion Shell. It's always hard for a melee carry at this point, right?
Yeah, but AUI catches ROTK with the stun and just going to right-click him down. Not level 2 quite yet, but you just want to try to harass him as much as you can. And this Anti-Mage versus Darkseer matchup, we've seen it a lot. And I think it was actually Black that said he feels that it's incredibly Anti-Mage favored. Once you get a few levels of the mana break, you can just zone him out. He doesn't, before he has the Soul Ring, and it's a pretty decent matchup for him, but AUI has to give him the early start in levels.
Yeah, that's why he's spending so much time in lane, going for the zoning. Now you can see Ehome, they're doing something interesting here. They actually picked up a haste rune on Lanam, and they're trying to rotate through the secret shop area. I'm not sure exactly what they're looking for here. If perhaps they're looking for some sort of stack of the Ancients or what, but they aren't going to find anything, at least not yet anyway. It's still that 1 versus 1 middle lane. PPD is actually rotated over just to make sure that Sumail doesn't get ganked with this 2-minute rune.
Yeah, I think he doesn't necessarily have to be there, though, because the likelihood that they gank him is incredibly low. I think this is more just so that he can easily go for a stack or just be useful in other ways, because him being at bottom doesn't really do anything, because AUI and him shouldn't be splitting levels right now. So if you notice, PPD is just going to go for the stack. This is what he should do. Eventually, you can give this to an Anti-Mage, an Earthshaker, even the Queen of Pain at some point.
Now let's talk about a little bit, since we aren't seeing too much action, not too many rotations right now, talk about the rising prevalence of the Luna in the current meta. I mean, every single TI sets its own kind of pace. Luna seems to be taking the kind of replacement to the Gyrocopter, as Gyro being, constantly picked up in the first 1-2 has actually been banned out a lot now. It seems like Luna has now taken that role, as Gyro can never be had by most teams.
I mean, she just hits like a truck. The aura helps so much in pushing. It increases your entire team's viability in the right-click game. It makes it so that average supports can zone out offlaners pretty easily, and she has really, really good lane sustain, because you go for the Ring of Aquila, you almost always have mana for the Lucent Beam. It's incredibly inexpensive. It's 100 mana for 150 damage. It's really good cost efficiency, and it's one of those heroes that can 5-man really early and give you the high ground advantage really quickly.
Now, I actually want to go back. In the early draft, you saw the Lina picked up from Evil Geniuses. And I'm going to give you some credit. You said, I bet that's going to be an AUI Lina, and they were actually going to be running a mid Storm Spirit. Now, Ehome were actually the ones who picked up Storm Spirit first, the response from EG being the Queen of Pain. Can you explain a little bit your reasoning behind why you thought it was going to be that way?
I just think that EG often do this, where they take a hero that you think is going to be a Sumail mid hero, like the Queen of Pain or the Lina, and then people just forget about it, and then they're able to get a really free Storm game from him. I actually think that's how they set it up every single time, and so I was almost convinced that was going to be an AUI Lina, because it was taken way too early. And once you see that Lina, you're thinking to yourself, okay, what are the heroes that can counter it? How are we going to counter it? And you're overly focused on it.
Yeah, and even if it isn't a Storm Spirit, putting it out like that, like putting out the early mid and going, okay, focus on the fact that it's going to be, this hero mid, and try and counter it that way, and all of a sudden they go, surprise, that's now going to be a 4-position Lina, and we're running a different mid. That's a good way to set up Sumail for success, who is known for being very much a 1 versus 1 mid lane focused player.
Exactly, and I mean, the hero that you don't want to give him under any circumstance of a game like this is probably that Storm Spirit, but I mean, it's just a really smart way for PPD to set it up so that there's no anti-major on the other team or anything like that. But Sumail's pushing the lane forward. He wants to look for this opportunity. He's got enough stitch charges. He's going to
go for it. There goes the ultimate. First blood picked up by Sumail. Lanham going to try and counter him as best as possible. It looks like with the help of the tower, they might be able to get this kill. The Shellgrave comes in on time from PPD. And now Sumail just trying to get that distance. There's going to be no heal out. The wand is not going to be enough. Lanham, he's going to be targeted now by PPD. He doesn't have enough damage by himself, though it seems. But AUI comes in from the side. And they pick up a 2-for-1 special in the middle lane.
And that's what I'm talking about. CTY, I really feared that this was going to happen to him. He just gets a little bit too greedy. The Queen of Pain is always going to get the level 6 before you. It's just the nature of the matchup. You have to be on your toes. You have to realize Sumail's going to dive you there. And as a commentator, if I'm seeing it CTY, that's the second time I've seen him die like that. I think he actually did it in the group stages as well against Sumail. And it just felt like a repeat.
Oh, look at that, spamming out, stop spamming the Ball Lightning. He wanted to dodge the Shadow Strike there, but Sumail just next level on next level. Both of them kind of stop spamming their spells to try and force the other out. Looks like an invis is going to be found by AUI, saving that one for Sumail to pick up. Perhaps he's going to use it with his next ultimate coming off cooldown in 1 minute's time. Ehome, though, actually, as they pick up their rune, they go for a 3-man smoke, but Universe has already backed himself up. It doesn't look like, well, maybe they will find the kill. Universe is going to charge right forward. They've got the ward, leading with the telekinesis, and CTY jumping in. Universe very dead, couldn't even get off of Fisher. And this will then allow them to take this tier 1 blitz. You've hit on it so many times in our broadcast, especially going into TI. This is what the meta is all about right now, utilizing those smokes to get a pick off and turn that into early objectives.
This is honestly how Ehome and both T-Deck play, is that they go for the early game smokes to go for the offlaner. If you get the gank, great. If you don't, at the very least, you secure the tower. And the way that you can spot Ehome doing this is, when you see that siege wagon come in, they always get aggressive because they want to push alongside it, and great job by them being able to execute that and slowing down Universe. But at the same time, Sumail, he's doing the stack right now, and he's just getting further ahead of the storm. So I imagine CTY will just give up his mid to one of the other heroes and then just go do the jungle stack on his own, because it's not worth it for you to show yourself on the map. If you killed Universe at top, then he's probably going to go look for something, but with the wave pushed up, he's actually just going to back up there, and PPD is going to take the experience mid.
Nice efficiency there. AUI actually, when he had to go back to the base, he TP'd into the tier 2 to pick up Sumail's bottle and refresh that one as Sumail was clearing through the hard camp stack that PPD built up for him. And in the meantime, PPD got some nice solo experience in the middle lane. It's kind of interesting though, they put the more pressure on the Dazzle to be the mid and pick up that solo experience, as normally it would be the 4 position Lina, right?
I mean, AUI is eventually going to take over that bottom lane. Once Sphere has enough to jungle pretty much is when he's just going to rotate to that bottom lane. And I noticed that EG do this often where they leave AUI in lanes that look sort of risky, and they hope that teams go for him instead of assaulting the jungle, or if teams don't go for him, they're assuming like, okay, it's only AUI, and he gets free farm anyways. And I mean, we've seen what he can do when he gets just a few minutes of space, and I feel like EG abuses that to the max.
Yeah, so essentially at that point in time, you're looking at either, hey, if you try and gank us, you're going for the Lina first, in which case that's an okay, like especially if you smoke for it. Not a big deal if the 4 position is ganked, making sure that your safe lane Fear manages to be the one that avoids that gank. Speaking of that, AUI, he's going to be caught here. Lanham, telekinesis, YJ, doesn't even need the ultimate. Not necessary. That's the damage that we're talking about from the Luna Aura. Just does so much. RTK even comes in, steals a little bit of the stack, and runs himself away. Fear does have treads and a perseverance working towards that Battle Fury, obviously, but still needs more time to finish up that farming item. How are Evil Geniuses going to make that space for him?
I mean, right now, AUI, I mean, I'm sure he's a little bit surprised that they went for the gank there, because he's not used to that. He's used to just being given a little bit more space, but it does mean that Fear gets a lot of free information. He knows that there are heroes down there, and it's better for your support to gank, tank the gank, but it does mean that YJ also had to rotate down, so it's not a terrible trade for them. The downside right now for Ehome, though, is that Sumail is getting huge. The timing of his first Oblivion Staff means that if he doesn't die, he gets 1 more kill. That's like 14 minutes in mental mode for me. So if he gets 1 more kill, 14-minute Orchid, that's going to mean CTY, who's probably going to go for the Bloodstone first, is going to have such a rough time in the lane.
Right, talk about a little bit the intricacy of the Queen of Pain versus Storm Spirit matchup and why it's so important for the Queen of Pain to pick up her Orchid early.
It's just so that you force the Storm to be inefficient. If you don't go for the Orchid as a Queen of Pain, then you're allowing the Storm to go for the Bloodstone, and it's incredibly greedy for Storm, but he can get away with it in that case because he has enough HP and mana to work with. But if you go for the Orchid, it forces the Storm to go for something like the Yule Scepter, which is not an ideal item at all. Like, as a Storm Spirit, you never want to go for an item like that. You want to just continue to snowball as hard as you can.
I love this build, especially on offlane Earthshakers. Universe is going for the Tranquil Boots Soul Ring. He already has it. This actually makes it so Earthshaker at this point can be a very efficient farmer, bouncing himself back and forth, especially with the Tranquils and the extra movement speed you have from that. Bouncing back and forth from the offlane when it's pushed in into your own jungle. With the double regen items, you actually are able to farm up multiple camps really efficiently, especially the Radiant side as an Earthshaker. So Universe, if he's given much more space, he will have that Blink Dagger by about the 18-minute mark. But we'll see. I'm sure Ehome are not going to give him too much space to work with, especially with such potent gankers such as the Storm Spirit.
Yeah, Ehome have to be pretty worried though, because Fear is getting pretty much the most free farm I've ever seen an anti-mage get by the 11-minute mark. He's going to get a pretty quickly uncontested Battle Fury, and I mean, it's hard for Ehome to be able to contest the jungle at this phase of the game. EG's doing a really good job of keeping vision up at all times, and I think they actually know that the smoke gank is coming. They're pinging like crazy. PPD's immediately running down, and
yeah, it's a counter ward. The counter ward that was placed down as Ehome moved through. They dropped a counter ward, but there was already one from EG, both a regular ward and a sentry. So they see that ward being placed, and they know Ehome, they smoked up, they ran through that area, they dropped the counter ward, and they're coming to gank Fear. And that's why PPD is going to be the one sitting here. Fear is actually hitting himself in the trees right now, waiting for Ehome to go for the dive. Let's see if EG respond with any sort of TPs here, or if they just give up PPD. He's been targeted by RTK. The Iron Shell's on him. Here comes the mass TPs. They do have the Luna who's ready to go with that ultimate, but so too is Sumail. Jumps in. There goes the Winter's Curse onto him. They're going to try and pop him immediately. YJ lets loose the ultimate. Sumail gets off his own, but not enough to get a kill as Ehome just running over Evil Geniuses at this point. This was not the fight to take. 4 down, soon to be 5 as Universe trapped in a corner up against a creep. Leisurely, Ehome just stroll right into that tier 1 tower, pick up 5 kills, don't drop a single hero, and now get a tier 1 tower. That's the way you set the tempo for the match.
I mean, props to Lon M. He steals the weave, if you didn't notice, and that makes everybody on EG just drop to like 4 hits from everybody on Ehome, and that's what I was talking about. Ehome go for that smoke gank. It's meant to just take the tower. If you get a kill, great, but I mean, that went pretty much better than they ever could have imagined. Grabbing 5 with the tower, grabbing the anti-mage too without even a disable. Fantastic play by Ehome as Lon M with that weave. That physical damage was just a little bit too much for them to handle.
I'm incredibly surprised that they went for that fight in the first place, especially with the Animage still trying to close in on that Battle Fury. That just sets them back so drastically, but in the middle lane, they're going to be able to get a pick off CTY, or maybe not. They need a little bit more damage. CTY is going to be able to make the jump soon. Still has enough damage, a 200 HP, and he's able to get out. Evil Geniuses just do not have the nuke potential. And it all comes down to AUI not quite being level 6.
And this has got to be so frustrating for EG because that should have been a free kill. Unfortunately, it wasn't, and they're just starting to get a little bit further behind than they would like. And that anti-mage, I was talking about how he was getting free farm, and I must have jinxed him because they immediately go down there, are able to kill him, but Fear's still incredibly close to his Battle Fury, and Ehome is going to struggle to take him down. They only have one real hard disable in the Winter's Curse. The Rubik Lift at the end game doesn't really suffice, and at the same time, once he has enough farm, it's going to be so hard for the Storm to show himself on the map. You saw it earlier today where, you know, Storm shows himself on the map, instant one-shot by the Mana Void.
You've got the Mana Void, you've also got Earthshaker, who's an incredibly good jumping hero against the Storm Spirit with such, you know, instant jump, chain disable between the Echo Slam and the follow-up Fissure. That's going to make it dangerous, and of course the Queen of Pain is still angling to pick up that early Orchid. As CTY is actually stocking up a lot of gold. We're still expecting the Bloodstone though, of course.
Yeah, I think it's more likely. He could still go for a full Yules here. I actually might think the Yules is a little bit better. He needs some way of escaping everything that EG has just to extend the fight.
Really? Because you were raging pretty hard about Yules just earlier in the break room. How you really did not like that item on Storm
I mean,
Spirit.
I still think he should go for the Bloodstone, but if he decides to go for the Yules, I wouldn't hate him for it. I think if the Queen of Pain gets an Orchid in the next 2 or 3 minutes, I think it's well worth it.
All right, Fear's still getting some farming time here in the top lane now. And they're giving some room to Universe as well. He's actually got 1,000 gold in the bank working towards that Blink Dagger. Trying to get the most efficiency out of their jungle as possible while still safely doing it. Sumail's farming up that hard camp. And there goes Ehome. And this is the thing that's really dangerous about Ehome. We casted a lot of them in the group stage. They look pretty much flawless when they're in control of the game.
Yeah, and this is what they're going for. They're trying to get one pick off. They see Sumail right now, and they want to get the mid tower immediately after that. That's why CTY is pushing the lane in, so Ehome can go for this wraparound. Sumail's the real target here, though. DDC, he should pop the Arctic Burn soon.
AUI going to be targeting Sumail, already caught. There goes the double disables. They're going to try and burst them both down. They will be successful, especially with Lanham stealing that Light Strike array. Universe just throws out a Fissure to try and stall up Ehome, but they're going to take the last Tier 1 tower remaining of Evil Geniuses.
Every single time Ehome goes for this play, they set it up so well. They send one hero to push in the mid lane so the others can wrap around and that one hero can join them, and then they immediately 5-man barrel down your tower so you have no time to respond. And CTY with this sort of start, there's no question about it. He's going to go for the Bloodstone. Sumail's Orchid is way too late at this point, and EG, I mean, they're struggling, but at the same time, Fear continues to farm. I wouldn't be too worried yet if you're an EG fan, because he's about to pick up that Battle Fury, and once he does, it's going to be a lot easier for him to just speed farm. And once he has the Manta, that's actually going to be a really crucial item for him.
Still, though, the team fight for now from Ehome just seems unstoppable between the early mech picked up by ROTK and the quick BKB of YJ. It looks pretty obvious that Ehome are kind of going all in for that 20 to 25 minute marker, and if they can actually take down all the tier 2s, pick up Roshan with the amazing amount of team fight that they have, they'll just get such a large net worth lead. Now AUI is going to be caught here. Lanham stealing that one. They actually managed to grab the blink as well, so he may look for more. No, never mind, just AUI. That's all they can find.
That's a free Blink Dagger. Actually, even better for Lon M right now, and that Blink lift is going to do so much in this early game where he can pretty much initiate on whoever he wants. That'll mean that Sumail's really susceptible to ganks. He only has 1,000 HP.
CTY, he's going to push this even more aggressively, not going for the Bloodstone. He's going for the Orchid. He says, you know what, good luck, Sumail. You thought you were going to get the Orchid first with that early start in the laning phase? Nuh-uh.
Yeah, and he opts to go for the Orchid, I think, mainly because he wants to slow down the anti-mage's farm and just apply as much pressure as possible. I think this is also in response to the fact that they've won like 4 consecutive fights in a row, and this means that he'll always get the jump off on Sumail, and getting the Orchid on Storm is so much more important than the Queen of Pain, because the Storm can roll in from pretty much any distance.
Right, he can actually put out 90% of his damage as he jumps in, gets that instant disable, and get a whole bunch with the Orchid, whereas the Queen of Pain can't do the same. She jumps in, Orchids up the Storm Spirit, but doesn't have a disable to chain with it, so the Storm Spirit's just gonna, you know, Orchid her back, and there's no damage there.
I think Ehome's next play is after this stack, the Luna's gonna have a BKB. You just walk into Roshan after dewarding, and then Rosh immediately. Get it to CTY, and then 5-man down, probably even bottom tower is the easiest one to go for. But I would like to see them go for the 5-man here. CTY, I mean, he's prepped for top, but AUI's in position, and I think after this stack, they'll probably go for the Roshan.
Jump in, Sumail gonna be the target here with the Orchid. AUI will respond, but Light Strike array dodged by CTY. No chance for poor Sumail. 2-12 right now as Ehome just taking it.
It's so hard for this Queen of Pain to survive against that. Even with that Lina there, CTY at the edge of his vision, spots it coming, goes for the extra jump. Perfect play so far from him, and this is the second time we've seen him lose that mid lane, and you know, they used to call him the 6-minute god, but he's been dominating this entire tournament after that point, and here's what I was talking about. Immediately jump into the Rosh pit, you know you have the counter vision, and you can get this for free, and after that, just go for the 5-man push bottom because your Luna's so stacked.
Blink Dagger now picked up by Universe. This may turn the fortunes of Evil Geniuses, but it's looking like Ehome perhaps just a bit too far ahead. They give the Aegis over to CTY. This is going to be one of those free pickoff situations. He's going to jump in, go for PPD with that Orchid and the double damage. Easy kill there. Just walks away.
And that bottom tower, it's so much easier to take than that mid one. It's harder for EG to set up for defenses on the high ground and that cliff area where the Earthshaker could sneak in. He's got his Blink Dagger too, so Ehome just want to eliminate all chance. Going for the bottom tower after the Roshan is the easy play for them to make. And it's just easy to call Ehome games. Like, you know what they're going to do, but they're so good at doing it that it doesn't even matter.
Look at that, if that doesn't say so much about this game. Comparing the two offlaners, ROTK has already picked up his Arcane's Mech and Blink Dagger now at the same time as Universe has just picked up a Blink. Goes to show a drastic net worth difference between the two as we hit the 20-minute marker. What's the total net worth difference right now? Ehome over 10,000 gold lead right now, 10,000 experience.
Yeah, that's pretty absurd at this point in the game. It was just so many ganks that they set up for that they went for. They were originally going for the tower, but they pick up 3 heroes. They pick up 5 heroes in one engagement. They go for the Roshan. They take a tier 2 uncontested. None of their tier 1s have fallen at this point in the game. Ehome CPing to every single one of them, and I mean, Fear, he's alone here. The TP just manages to get him out.
CDC. I mean, you got to take certain risks, right? As a safe lane farmer at this point in the game, you're going to get rolled over soon by Ehome. You can see they're building up such good team fight items. They're going to come at you with that Aegis. They're going to take away the rest of your tier 2s, and it's not going to be long before they go uphill. You know Ehome are not just going to give room to Fear for him to farm up. So he's got to play a little risky. He's got to be as efficient as humanly possible, even if it does come at the risk.
Oh, what's top?
Jump in, YJ. Managed to get the cold embrace, and looks like Ehome are going to be just fine. In fact, they're even looking for the Winter's Curse there. CTY going to come in for the side. Sumail spots him out, puts the Orchid on him. PPD is responding there with at least the heal. Universe doesn't have anything to be able to jump in. They just put the Shell Grave, and Sumail will be able to get out. But Ehome push back Evil Geniuses for another tower.
And this should be a free tower for them. There's no way that EG decided to defend this anymore. They used the Echo Slam already at top. And this is going to mean that Fear is just going to go for the split push. He was going to go for the Vlads, but recognizes that that Orchid Storm isn't going to allow that to happen. And
whoa, CTY comes in with like pretty much no HP at all. He's fearless, and
he dodges it!
What a dodge! He still goes down, but that's just the Aegis. Fear's going to try and jump away. ROTK tries to follow him, but it was a blink and TP out. CTY, man, what a dangerous player. Almost picks up the kill in the Animage. That would have been huge. Still, though, the tower goes to the Radiant, and that's something for EG.
This hurts to watch. She's actually, I mean, this just embarrasses me. That dodge, that timing on it as well, it was just so well played. And CTY making himself a case for the best Storm here. And I mean, that's just absurd to me. It's like, I'm speechless right now every single time that he goes for it. He's about to pick up a 24-minute Bloodstone Orchid in a competitive game against one of the best teams in the world. Is absurd, but EG, I mean, they can still do it. That was an excellent escape by Fear. He's about to pick up the Manta style. I can't stop saying it enough. Anti-Mage versus Storm Spirit, one of the easiest things to do. All you have to do is wait for that 10k Storm net worth to go in. You instantly get rid of it with just 1 mana point.
Oh, Fear. Spotted out by DDC and Lanham. They actually stole the blink, brings it back. Telekinesis. Winter's Curse is going to be coming in soon. Get the pullback. Winter's Curse now laid onto Fear with the Orchid on top. It's almost enough damage. There it is. Wicked sick for CTY. And he looks for more on the side of Lanham. PPD trying to go for the TP out, but no chance. Ehome, the nukes are too much.
And they're just everywhere right now. PPD thought that the Anti-Mage was going to be able to survive 1 more hit, but that's a DD Storm Spirit. That's so much damage right now. That's 250 a hit. No way that an AM can survive that right now. And I mean, EG, they just have to work at stopping the bleeding right now. You have to get your Anti-Mage that Manta style. You have to trust in Universe to make a big play. Sumail still playing one of the best heroes at catching up with that Sonic Wave on that Queen of Pain. You can still do this if you're EG, but every single time one of those deaths happen, the margin just closes.
The bleeding's about to get a whole lot worse, though, as CTY is closing in on that Bloodstone. We'll start racking up the charges soon. YJ also, he has his next team fight / pushing item coming in, the Manta, soon to make its debut. This means YJ doesn't even have to worry necessarily about popping BKB against the Orchid, even if it's put against him. And he's also tanky. I mean, he's sitting at 1500 HP, 18 armor. He's got lifesteal. He's got some heals to back him up with the mech, cold embrace as well. Just doesn't seem like Evil Geniuses are ever going to be able to kill this Luna.
Yeah, it's actually going to require some sort of crazy Echo Slam into a multiple hero mana void, but I wouldn't put it past EG. I mean, the capacity is still there. Universe is still playing one of the best heroes at making comebacks. But Ehome right now have complete map control, and if they want, they can just wait out the next Roshan, farm out both sides of jungles, and then occasionally go for the pick-off to keep them
Found him. Universe, big jump in from CTY. He wants to be able to be a part of this kill. ROTK snags it, dominating spree for him. And there's another Blink Dagger. Lanham has now picked up his. The items just keep on rolling in for Ehome. Now the Manta is there for the Luna. Evil Geniuses, meanwhile, the only item they have coming in is potentially the Manta on Fear, and that's still a good 1,100 gold away.
Once he gets that Manta style, the real game begins. If he's able to actually get some towers down, split push, and force some pressure around the map, he can actually start to do some stuff, but it's going to require near perfect play from him. I mean, we saw it from Burning's anti-mage today. It's not within out of the realm of possibility that Fear can turn this game around. Again, it's still one of the best counters in the game, but it's the rest of the team that's struggling so much.
RTK, he's actually going for an ultimate orb here. Is there a possibility that we're going to see a Lotus Orb?
I think that I think if you go for an early Hex here, it's almost unstoppable over going for something like the Shiva's Guard. I think that going for the Hex might actually just be a game ender. If you get something like a Linken's for your Storm Spirit, and he can just trigger Linken's after Linken's to stop the Mana Void, that would be incredibly strong too. If you notice EG's lineup, they have very little single target outside of Sumail, and if you block an Orchid, that's fantastic too for your Storm Spirit.
Yeah, pretty much EG would be left at some sort of like Orchid play against the Linken's and then freeing up the Mana Void potential, but it's going to be hard-pressed to find those opening against CTY, who's so active on his Storm Spirit, always jumping back and forth, causing as much confusion as possible. Fear does have his Manta now, and he's also got his level 3 Mana Void almost in reach.
Yeah, the fact that Fear is almost level 16 in a game like this is kind of absurd, but he does have that Manta style, and like I was saying before, this could be what changes the game for them, because he does do a lot of damage, but I mean, this means that Ehome would also have to mess up a lot. Like the Winter's Curse would have to be misplaced, the Luna would have to be preoccupied, and you're going to rely on a huge Universe Echo Slam right now.
EG going for a 3-man smoke behind Fear. Hoping to be able to catch somebody in this top lane and turn it into an objective. They're going to lead onto ROTK. Sumail jumping in, going to try and blow up the Darkseer as soon as possible. Everything being blown there. Now CTY jumps in with the Orchid onto Sumail. Fearlessly going for him, but against the Manta of Fear, he's going to be driven back.
He's out of mana.
He's completely out of mana, but he has a regeneration. He pops it now, and this is the opportunity for Ehome to turn back. This may not be an easy tier 1 tower for EG, and they know it too. They're already going to start TPing back. AUI's going to be caught. He's already done for. Lays out whatever spells he can, and all EG leaves is just the Manta illusions to push in the tier 1 tower, but it's not going to be enough. The tower stays up.
It was still a decent trade for them though. They lose the Lina, but they get a kill on the Darkseer, and they just need to play a little bit more actively, which is what they were going for. Open up some space for Fear, just make it a little bit easier for him to farm. And now that you've seen 3 heroes rotate and TP top, it means that Fear's going to have all the time in the world here to just farm. And this is kind of the play that you have to make. You trade one of your underfarm supports just for information.
So at this point in time, Ehome very clearly in control of this game, but at what point do they make their move? Are we looking at the next Roshan, they grab the next Aegis, is that going to be enough, or do you want to see them finish up the Butterfly, or maybe just control the map and get a 6-slotted Luna?
I think you go for the Aegis for sure. There's no reason not to at this point. You can probably smoke before the Aegis, wrap around, try to deny EG vision, and try to pick somebody off. And if you do, then you go for the Roshan for sure. If you don't, then you get the Roshan anyways. So I wouldn't be surprised if Ehome decided to go for a smoke before the Roshan.
Jump in, free pick off there. There goes AUI. CTY finds some more Bloodstone charges, up to 11 already.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Oh, Fear. Been spotted out here, actually pops a Manta, turns to fight YJ, but that's not the right idea. With the rest of Ehome right behind him, they lock down Fear and will now free up the easiest Roshan of Ehome's life.
That must have been such a surprise for ZYF. He walks in there, he's like, wait a second. And then everybody from Ehome responds, they're like, that's the real one, as soon as he pops the Manta, and they were able to get the kill on that, but just unfortunate mistakes by EG right now that they can't afford to make, as CTY is going to get an Aegis, and now that Mana Void play gets a little bit weaker.
Then that's probably one of the hardest things as an Animage in this game, is that Winter's Curse is such a potent disable, because most of the time Animage jumps in, you've got that confusion, right, of being able to pop the Manta, create those illusions, they're not sure which one is the real one. For DDC, it doesn't really matter too much. He throws out the Winter's Curse on one of them, it's going to catch the other two, so at that point, it's a guaranteed disable on the Animage, and you're going to figure out which one is which after that.
Yeah, it's just an incredible team fight control spell. It means that whatever overfarmed hero you have is liable to just die to his own teammates. You can instantly focus him down. There's enough follow-up damage that that's a reality, but EG, things are looking a bit grim, but again, you just got to keep going back to the anti-mage play. The level 3 Mana Void can still do ridiculous things if Ehome decide to overextend, but that might be the only way that EG wins anymore if Ehome just make a lot of mistakes in a row.
And they do have some of the counters to the Orchid jump from CTY. We now have the Eul Scepter picked up from the Earthshaker. Sumail is about to complete his BKB, just he needs another 200 gold. And trying to farm it from this middle wave, but CTY already putting that pressure in.
Yeah, now, we haven't looked at it in a while, and I'm afraid to look, but it's a 20k net worth difference.
Ooh.
Same for the experience right now. Ehome, they might even have the better late game lineup at this point, in all honesty. That Winter Wyvern is making things so hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Between the Luna and the Storm Spirit, you've got a lot of late game power there. You've got the Darkseer on top, potentially the more potent offlaner against that Earthshaker. It all just comes down to individual play. There's the Butterfly now for the Luna. BKB is up for Sumail. Question is, even if they are able to have the defensive items to deal with the Storm Spirit jump, how are they ever going to deal with Luna? YJ is sitting on 1800 HP, has Butterfly, Magic Immunity, Manta Style, Mech behind him. The list goes on and on and on of defensive items for Luna to just survive through the base set of nukes and keep on trucking.
Yeah, nobody's getting an MKB anytime soon. You probably just have to burst them down with something like the Earthshaker initiating before she can get her BKB off. I mean, that's a really common thing that happens. Earthshaker's one of the better heroes against teams with BKBs. It just depends on who's faster, but it's not ZYF that has that BKB, or he's actually doesn't have the Aegis, so they're gonna send him first.
All right, here comes the Ehome push. Pop of the Manta already. The tier 3 tower gonna be dropping fast here. Evil Geniuses, they don't really want to be fighting into an Aegis, but they want to keep their racks alive. It may not be a choice. Seems like they're going to give it up. Oh, never mind. 3-man smoke.
They got to defend it.
Flip his pops.
Ehome's just going to go for mid as well. They have to go for this here.
They're going to make their initiation now. YJ has already been locked up. AY sacrificing himself immediately. CTY goes for him. It is going to be able to lock him down enough for the Shell Graze. Saves him, actually. Keeps him alive. Meanwhile, there goes the Aegis. Already taken out. Winter's Curse late into fear, though. He's going to be going down here. Couldn't afford that one. He does not have a buyback. Now YJ pops his ultimate. Runs down 2. Good game. 32 minutes in. It's 3-22. And the Evil Geniuses drop game number 1.
Great meme score as Ehome just is completely dominant in this first game, and that was not what I expected. EG's typically the team that almost always walks away with that first game victory, but I mean, they were just aggressive from start to finish. After that first kill that Sumail got on mid, I really thought that it was EG's game where Sumail was just going to snowball. He had such a fast Oblivion staff, but